Guys, do not use extension cords with your new treadmill. Just don't do it. Hi, I'm Will from Hydra Fitness Exchange. We're going to cover extension cords and why that you shouldn't use the extension cords. Number one, it's in the owner's manual from the manufacturer. It could void your warranty, so that would be bad. The reason why it would void your warranty, if a technician comes out and you're having a control board issue or something, and it's plugged into a 100-foot 16-gauge extension cord, is because the machine could be starved for power and cause premature wear and tear in the electronics. Number two, it could just be a hazard. They're not going to say that in the owner's manual, but you know, people put these under carpets. I mean, we've seen them all over the place, coiled up, you know, bunched up like that. You know, these are high amp draw devices, treadmills are. So what does that mean? That means heat. Heat in the extension cord, heat builds up enough, I mean, it can cause fire. It's rare, but it does happen. So those are the two reasons I would recommend against extension cords, using the extension cords with a treadmill. Now, if you absolutely have to, or in general, just learn about extension cords, it's a good idea to understand that they're made differently. I got two in my hand right here. The yellow is a 14 gauge. Which, by the way, is the gauge wire typically that's on a treadmill. And then you got 16 gauge. Now, what's interesting about that is this orange one, you know, you've seen this, you probably got 2, 3, 4 or more in your house. And you know, you want to use your treadmill, you want to plug it into an extension cord. That's probably what's going to end up being plugged into the machine, and that's not great because it is a thin wire. Think about your machine, instead of running off electricity for a moment, it runs off of water, and these are hoses, right? So obviously the bigger hose can feed the water treadmill a lot better than the thinner hose. And that's exactly what's happening with electricity. You have current flowing through these wires. If you have especially a more sturdy machine like this Landis here, it needs juice, and you're going to get something what's called line drop, and it's going to cause problems with the electronics, or it might not even run in extreme cases. So typically, you know, for 50 feet, you know, you're going to want to be in the 14 gauge range for a treadmill. Do not use a 16 gauge if you have to. Again, I recommend not doing it. Don't do it. Do everything you can to plug it directly into the wall outlet. But these are just extension cord guidelines. You can look up online, you know, other recommendations. You know, and we have a power series basically with treadmills, and we talk about wall outlets, and I want to go over it again because it's very similar to what we have going on here with the extension cords. You have these wall outlets in your room, right? According to housing standards, you could have 12 to 16 of these bad boys hooked up to one circuit. And we mentioned in other videos that the treadmill, because of how much power it draws, should be the only thing on the circuit. So you can't just look at the treadmill being plugged into the wall outlet, the only thing in the wall outlet, and saying, hey, that's the only thing I have plugged into the circuit, because behind this wall might be other wires connected to other outlets in the room, microwaves, TVs, refrigerators even. That's a bad combo, a refrigerator and a treadmill hooked up to the same circuit. So definitely look at your wiring in your house. It's specific to your house and what's on that circuit. I highly recommend getting a dedicated outlet put in for the treadmill, whether it be 15 amp or 20 amp. So that is all I got for you today on power. I hope that was helpful.